Hey folks, this is Brian. This is an Elderath campaign review update, and it's been some time since we've played Elderath because of conflicting schedules and stuff. But anyway, when we last left off the players, they were in Kars awaiting the guild's assessment on the finds that they had from the mine. So it actually took Herman an extra week to make the arrangement. So it's now day 4 of week 4 of month 3. And then we are invited over to his place for dinner. And his place, there's the shop and then there's the warehouse. And apparently he lives like in the warehouse, but the warehouse is this eclectic gathering of stuff. And as we're walking through, Runt stops, stares off down one of the aisles, and then holds his head in pain. He loses his balance. He lost his leg to the laser beam. We had forgotten about how, or I had forgotten about how he had lost his legs. We had discussed that later on. So he's using this peg leg, and he's actually he said he would have actually just fallen down. So Raymond goes back to check on him, asks what happened, and helps him over to a chair, and then he casts Detect Evil because we're sure he's possessed by something. Herman goes and gets Run some water, and then Run says that something is strange here. And he describes it using a language that none of us understand. He says, I've seen it in dreams. Well, anyway, dinner commences. After a few drinks, Herman pulls out some documents and says, well, let's get down to business. I and the other investors congratulate you on your success. The discovery of a vault presents many more opportunities. After considerable negotiations, we have acquired the following for your endeavors at the mines. There is still one outstanding matter to do with the rescue of the prisoners and their treasure. But that aside, the balance is as follows. You each will be given 4 months of income. That's about 20 silver. And in addition, he stands up and he pulls out a cart and opens up this blanket. And on the blanket is the broadsword that we got out of the vault area, the elven dagger, and the pauldron that we got off the goblin. And then he pulls out another cart that has the egg. He says, the Chamberlain has proposed, and we, the investors, have signed off on whatever decision you make. There is a boat available for your use, and there's also a villa, actually a winery. But it's not in great shape, and with some further investment could generate some income for you. The boat is a longship-style merchant called a Nor. So as the night goes on, there's lots of discussion between us as the players on, okay, do we get the boat and try to head back to Telgar and report what we found, and can we get to Telgar, because we've got to get past Minok and Gib and Olak. There's those 3 evil cities that are along the coast that we have to get by in order to get over towards Telgar. And what are the repercussions of us not skipping town, but being gone for such a long time, kind of thing. Plus we'd have to hire a crew, and so it's more like we'd use this merchant to do something on this side of the world, merchant wise, and try to make some money that way. Or we take the villa where we've got like a staging base and that kind of thing. And so we ask, we decide on the villa. It's up in the hills north of here, and it's the further reaches, I guess, of the Baron's influence. And so we have, obviously there's goblin raids going on up there, and so possible opportunities for further adventures, right? Okay. So Herman pulls out some documents about the villa. These are authorizations to occupy. And they also list the duties and obligations we have in the maintenance of the villa and the upkeep of the winery, or the vineyards at least. Okay, some side notes on the items. So there's some, metagaming going on where we're discussing the actual mechanics of the items. The dagger has 2 enchantments on it. The broadsword has 2 enchantments. The egg is obviously a pseudo dragon. Well, it's made obvious, but the egg is a pseudo dragon egg. And we kind of agree that it would be cool for Wes to get that so he can do his cast familiar spells on it once it hatches and that kind of thing. And the incubator is still there, but it needs to be kept fed with coal and that kind of stuff. Anyway, the dagger, the elven dagger, detects the presence of undead with a light blue glow. It does do damage like a short sword, so it does a d6 plus 1 instead of a d4 plus 2. But it's also plus 2, so it's plus 10% to hit and plus 2 damage. The encumbrance is less, it's only 0.25. It has 11 hit points. I'm not sure about how that 11 hit points came about. So I have to ask the GM a bit about that. But it's got increased hit points, right? Herman tells us there may be some historical significance as it looks to be part of a set pair, a broadsword and dagger kind of thing. There's the broadsword, which he said is also twice enchanted, but I forgot to capture what the other enchantment was. Broadsword's got 20 hit points because it's a steel broadsword and has an encumbrance of 1, which is standard. And it is plus 2, so it's also got the plus 10% to hit and plus 2 damage. Then there's the pauldron, which we're also told is plus 2, but we're told it's got 11 hit points. And plate's 8, plus 2 would be 10. So maybe, or it could be the material gives it 11, because the dagger should have 8 hit points as well. But 8 and 4 is 12. Not 11. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going. We'll get that all figured out. But anyway, it's got increased hit points. Plus is plus 2. It has an encumbrance of 1, but it's enchanted to provide protection over the entire arm, which is handy. And then there's the egg. The incubator's keeping it going, so it's really up to the egg if it survives or not. After all this is, filtering down, Runt asks about items that may be for sale because he has interest in whatever it was he saw down that aisle that we think possessed him. And so we go to see what it is. Alexander gets a little rambunctious and reaches up. Oh, is this it? He does so. I think he rolled some kind of a fumble or something. The stacked balls. We all have to make dodge skills. Raymond made his. Wes made his. Herman actually fumbled his. And then Alexander and Runt both missed theirs. So Wes suggests, I suggest, hey, can Raymond or I, reach Herman and augment, pull him out of the way so he doesn't get crushed by this stuff. And Raymond is able to do that and is successful. However, Runt gets nailed in 6 different locations for a d6 damage each. There's a right leg, 2 left legs, 2 left arms, and the chest. He ended up taking a total of 20 hit points. He's only got 14, so he's at -6. And Alexander got hit in 2 locations, the chest and the abdomen. The chest for 4 and the abdomen for 2. So Raymond rushes over and we start pulling stuff off of Runt, and he does a healing, and Runt would have bled a point by then, so he does another healing. At that point, he's at positive hit points. He's at like +2 at that point. And of course, it's a huge mess, and Herman is pissed, to say the least. Just catch up on my writing here. Hold on. Yeah, and he asks us, "Hey, perhaps it's time for you to leave." And he takes us to the door, shows us out, slams the door shut, and pulls the drapes. Okay, so we wander on back to the inn, taking care of Runt. The next day, we head over to the temple, all of us. Runt specifically wants to go. Well, Runt and Raymond specifically want to go because they were told to have Runt stop by the temple, see what may be done about his leg, kind of thing. And Wes wants to go because he's hoping to run into Lieutenant Krim again. And as we turn the road and head north up towards the temple area, Wes got a crit on his scan, and he spies Lieutenant Krim. She's talking with some of the guards at the gate or something, and starts to head off. So he starts booking down the road. Lieutenant Krim, wait, let's talk. She sees us and asks how Runt is doing, and and she, he's got a little crutch thing. He's obviously still missing his leg. And she says, "Here, let me help you," because he looks totally beat up still. And so she takes one side, and Wes steps up and takes the other, and takes Runt's uh, crutch away from him to help him along and help Lieutenant Krim. After they get him inside, Lieutenant Krim asks Wes if he'll get Runt some water, which he runs over and does. And then we discuss, why we're here, obviously for Runt's leg. And then she goes and gets a priestess who comes over and looks him over and then asks if he believes in Lorath, to which he responds in this strange unknown language that nobody seems to understand. And then he stops and he says yes. He does. She thanks us profusely about the recovery of the artifact and mentions about Captain Krim has told us about your service and about the prisoners. So she got promoted. And then she mentions that the temple has the power to be able to assist with healing his leg, and that they are not looking for any kind of donation in return because of everything done already with the return of the artifact. So Krim and West take Runt deeper into the temple, and everybody kind of comes along. But then once they set him down, the priest kind of looks around and goes, "Everyone out, but Raymond, you can stay." So Krim takes us out to the gardens, and Alexander is trying to occupy Captain Krim's time, asking questions about the healing and the regeneration stuff and all that kind of thing. And Wes just kind of buys his time, and then eventually gets tired of it and starts to interject into the conversation, trying to get off onto other things. But eventually says she has duties she needs to get back to, and the healing will take some time. And they can escort us back to the inn because they're going to keep Runt overnight. The next day, Runt is told to take it easy for a few days, and there's some discussion within the party, and it comes out that Runt also speaks Carillion like Alexander does, as well as some other language. We picked up 2 languages from whatever happened with the artifact interaction he had at Herman's place. Later that night, we get a letter explaining that Herman can escort us to the villa the following morning. During that day, Wes is out looking for a weaponsmith and a silversmith. What he wants to do is, I have envisioned in silver inscription in the blade in order to get a silver effect for fighting undead and things like that. He's able to find silversmith, but the only weaponsmith that's capable of working with steel is on the Baron's payroll and inside the keep. So took that in the back of my head. See if we can at some point in the future get a chance to talk with someone with the keep or in the keep and make some kind of arrangements. But that's for the future. But while he's out and about, he does run into Captain Krim, and she asks about Runt, to which Wes, mentions he's out, taking it easy but exercising his leg, and she seems quite surprised. We should go and find him, and then take him back to the inn. And so Wes is thinking that he would have gone to this one area of town because for some reason he thinks that's where they ran into Hedda before, and he's out actually looking for Hedda. And so they go wandering off that way, and they don't find him anywhere, and they come back to the main road, and Wes has no idea of which way to look after that, but Captain Krim suggests maybe he went to look along the docks. And so the 2 of them go out the gate. There's like this, it's not really docks, it's more like a boardwalk kind of thing, goes around the outside of the the keep between the water, the bay, and the keep itself, or the town itself, the walled town itself. And so they take this nice little walk around the water, how nice it is. And then it gets later on in the day, and Jumper, this somebody needs to go and have something to eat. Yeah, things are progressing. Okay, well, that's going on. Runt is out looking for Head, and Alexander's tagging along because Alexander wants to convince Runt to go back to Herman's place and sneak in and find this artifact thing that did whatever it did to Runt. And as they get to the market area, they see, Herman's place is like right there, and Alexander convinces Runt to go inside. So they go in the shop, right? And the shopkeeper, as soon as he sees them, he gets up and he rushes towards them, recommending, why don't you guys, come back in a week or two? There's not really much we can do to help you. We got a lot of things going on here and that kind of stuff. So they get pushed out. Alexander then decides to spy around the warehouse and that kind of stuff around back, and they find some back doors and that kind of thing. He's casing the place. They go back out front. Eventually, the keeper, when the keeper threw them out and shut the door, he put the closed sign out, right? Eventually, he turns the sign back around to open. And so Alexander and Runt are out front talking to him and discussing, we play this game where they stay out here, keep coming into the place and making the guy close up, or they can help him out. But the guy said, you're just, no. He didn't say you're not welcome here, but that's the impression we got. You need to talk to Herman first. Well, anyway, next day. After breakfast, the coach pulls up, and the trip out to the villa is a pleasant ride. You can see the ocean from time to time as we're going out there. It's to the north, about 10 miles, and goes a couple miles inland. There are farmlands, and then as we start going inland, there's more vineyards, and then some regular vineyards. But then you get to this stuff that's obviously not been attended to for a long time, and then we come to the overrun villa. It's about a half day out of town, so you could go into town, spend a couple hours getting stuff, and get back to your place, by dark kind of stuff, and vice versa. So the villa was clearly attacked and has been burned. It will take some real effort to bring this thing back to its original condition. So, but we're investigating, we're checking it out. Clear, there aren't any goblins here now. And on the way up, we didn't see any other villas because Wes was thinking on the way back we could stop at one of the villas, just get a feel for, okay, we've been granted access to this villa. It's got so much land. How many workers do you think we would need? Like I think, hey, we're your new neighbors kind of deal. But there weren't any villas along the way. Now there were some side roads out because there are villas going to be dotting out the land there where they have these minor nobles who are out, overseeing their lands and stuff. So we just head back to town. By the time we get there, it's dark and we're all hungry. And we get to the inn. The next day, as players or characters, etc., are discussing things, it comes up that Brent and Alexander were trying to get into Herman. So there's a huge discussion. Leave Herman stuff alone. He's pissed already. The last thing we need to do is have you guys get caught breaking and entering and have us get kicked out of town or something. No. In fact, Raymond and Wes say, you guys stay here. We'll go talk to Herman. So Raymond and Wes go to visit Herman. Discuss about the villa, the stuff, right? It's about mid-morning. We want to go after breakfast, but not too early, kind of thing. Give him time to get up and get his stuff going around anyway. So when we go in, the shopkeeper jumps up and intercepts us. Yeah, we're just here to talk to Herman. We're not here to cause any problems. When Herman comes out, Wes apologizes again for everything, and then Raymond gives our feedback on the villa. Herman says, "Well, let's go out and have a drink. We're going to discuss this further." So we go out to the marketplace, and there's places to get coffee and donuts and stuff. Although that's not really what it is, but that sort of thing. And so we're talking, and we ask about is there someone in town where we could consult with about a winery or about a vineyard, about staff and workmen and running the vineyard itself, and that kind of thing. And he says he knows someone he could ask, but it'll take a couple of days to arrange an introduction. And then we're talking about, well, he kind of introduces, hey, these are things you need to consider and worry about, and we're agreeing. This is what we're thinking too, right? The first thing we want to do is try to make sure that the vines themselves are able to reproduce before the season's over, right? So they need to get through and cleaned out and weeded and all that kind of stuff, and and then actual repairs on the villa, because the villa is not in any kind of condition to host anyone. And if we can get the vines to actually produce, we can at least just sell the grapes to other wineries. And then later on, we can look at actually developing our own fermenting processes and that kind of thing out there. And while we have a master carpenter who has helped us get a basic idea of construction that needs to be redone, we need some actual skilled labor and builders kind of stuff for rebuilding the villa, right? Not just carpentry. And then Herman goes into this side deal about, he would encourage us to look into using the future revenues of the vineyards to assist in the reconstruction of the buildings. And of course, he may be a few, he has resources, so we could get loans from him, kind of thing, based upon future revenues. While we're doing that, Runt does go back to the temple, and he runs into a priestess and asks, he feels indebted still to the temple. Asks if there's something he can do to help, around the temple, for what they did with his leg. And this priestess doesn't recognize him. Does ask about this front person, though, that she had heard about. But she sets him up with the groundskeeper, who then sets him to task cleaning stalls and that sort of thing. And Alexander heads out of town. And out of town, there's a watchtower on a hill with a forest around it. So he wants to go and do forest stuff out there. Oh. And at that point, we actually started working on costs. Now, interestingly enough, at Gen Con, and why is my thing not moving? There we go. At Gen Con, do I have it here? Yeah, I do. I picked up my hard copy of RQIII's weapons and equipment book, which has construction type information in there. How much it costs, how long, and how much does it cost, and how much to maintain a hut, or a small house, or a large house, or a villa. And for that matter, a hide of a vineyard. So while they're discussing paying for tenant farmers, how that all works, we pull up a spreadsheet and I'm plugging stuff in. And unfortunately, I was doing it on my laptop, so it's not on the screen. So, which reminds me, live play in the description. But something, while they have maintenance costs and construction costs, it doesn't discuss gross income. Now, in the blue book, the RQIII book, right? At the end of the year phase, you've got, well, almost net income, because they always take the tithe out after you get your income, right? And so a noble or a priest who's got 5 hides of land, we've only got 4 with the winery, makes 200, because it's 40 per hide. But that's after the 40 that the 40 per hide that the family running the hide gets. So it's like a net value of 40. And I threw that on the thing to help capture that, because if you add up all of these maintenance costs, I mean, the cost to maintain a villa for a year was like 400 silver. And we're only making 160, maybe it was 100 silver. Well, anyway, significant amount. So if you had a villa with even if it's 5 hides of land, that would suck it all up just for maintenance. So there's got to be some kind of something's missing out of this equation that I was kind of hoping would be in here, but isn't. But anyway, I plugged all that stuff in so the GM can run through those numbers and get what percentages of construction costs is what's going to need to be done to repair the place and that kind of stuff. And just for fun, we threw in how much it was for a shrine. It's 50 silver to build a shrine. And previously, I was looking at the RQIII book, the Game Master book, where you have construction costs and stuff, and the labor for a soldier, the 60 lunars equivalent was 1,440 pennies in RQIII, and so it turned out if you divide by 24, you get close to what it would be. And if you build a shack in RQIII, it would come out to 20 silver. So that's why I first said about a shrine about a shack, so much setup and cost, right? But no, it's different. Interesting. Okay, so anyway, the GM does want to stick with the RQG for finances because that's the new stuff that's coming out, and so at least it within itself is consistent. We hope, because there's some things going. That just does not make sense to me. But anyway, happy gaming. Stay away from villas; they're too expensive.